What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jason with JCS Reefing, and in this video today we are going to build a waterproof, basically like a waterproof pan for where my sump area is going to be for under the stand. Now all I have here is pretty much just some PVC trim. It's about 2 inches. So it's not going to be a real tall pan because I need to fit it in the stand correctly. And then also the PVC board that came with the tank. And some Fusion PVC cement. So this is going to hold it, and basically the plan is to cut everything to length for the PVC board, and then put this basically standing upward, 4 corners, make it basically a big giant rectangle, and then just run a bead of silicone just to be safe here, which the PVC should bond pretty good to it, but just to be safe we'll run some silicone here. So that's pretty much what we're doing today, so let's get to it. All right, as you can see everybody, I got basically a rough cut. So just made sure all my cuts were to what they need to be. All we're doing is basically just, like I said, making a rectangle out of this piece of PVC board that came with the tank. What this is gonna do is give me a watertight, basically like a watertight pan, that if I ever had a leak, obviously not a big giant leak, but some water on the ground, a push connect or something like that came loose, where my leak detectors would pick it up and turn it off. It would be really easy for me to clean. So this would actually be waterproof, basically up to about 2 inches, a little bit more with the board, but yeah, roughly about 2 inches of water that it would be able to hold. Oops, knocked that one over. But so that's all we did, make a rectangle. So now next thing is to flip this board over, use some rubbing alcohol on the edges to kind of just make sure everything's nice and clean. I did sand down some of the edges to make sure there's no burrs for the PVC cement. So basically we're going to do that, put some PVC cement down on the PVC trim, and then it should all bond, probably clamp it all down and then let it dry for a while, and then come back and silicone basically all my seams just to be safe. So that is the next step, so let's get to it. Alright, so the project is almost complete. I pretty much got all my boards here, PVC glued, clamped. I clamped one side, clamped the other, and then had my wife come in and help me on the sides. But as far as everything, pretty much right now I'm just kind of waiting a little bit for this to dry, cure a little bit before I start moving it, because the board itself is a little bit flexible, where I think once I get it in the tank and I run that bead of silicone around it, once it's in place, once everything like that is good, I think that's going to help make sure that there's no leaks. And like I said, this is pretty much not something that has to be done. This is overkill, but I think it's a good thing to consider, especially if your tank comes with a PVC type material bottom, where Fusion is really good at getting stuff. It's a basically like a one cleaner, primer, and cement in one, and it really, for me, it works really well. Now for the silicone, I'm just using 100% Gorilla silicone. This isn't in the tank, so it doesn't really need to be reef safe per se. Also using this silicone tool, this thing has worked really well for myself. Rather than use your finger, you can use this and just run that across whatever you're trying to seal. Comes with multiple different attachments, so if you have a bigger bead that you need to do, you can switch out that rubber part and make a bigger bead. So to silicone it, obviously, I mean, everyone has their own technique, but for myself, I wipe it a little bit with water and then just run the bead of silicone and use that tool, and rather than my finger, and I just put a little water on it, run it down the side, clean up any excess, and wipe it clean. What this does is really just gives me a nice clean finish to the silicone. It doesn't make a huge mess. It's real easy to clean. And then once it's complete, I now have like a waterproof pan. So if there was a leak here, I do run an Apex on my system, so the leak sensor should pick it up. Whether it's a calcium reactor, a UV, whatever you might be running that might just have a slow leak, it will definitely help myself personally. But once it's all complete, I opted to actually not just leave it here. I actually opted to put a rubber mat down, simply to help with any vibration, simply from pumps. Once the sump is in here, the sump is going to go on top of the rubber mat, and then it kind of just limits any vibrations and sound. So that's pretty much it for this video. There's many more to come, so please like, comment, subscribe, and happy reefing. Cheers.